Picture two families, same neighborhood, same size house, same school district for the kids. The Garcias bring in $130,000 a year combined. Two decent jobs, two reliable cars, one comfortable suburban life. From the outside, they look exactly like what you'd call middle class done right. The Patels next door earn $134,000, almost identical on paper. But here's where it stops being identical. The Garcias have $6,000 saved. The Patels have $190,000 invested. Same neighborhood, same income bracket. One family is 4 missed paychecks from serious trouble. The other is quietly becoming wealthy. Same zip code. Completely different financial realities. And the gap between them has almost nothing to do with income. It has everything to do with a trap that the middle class was specifically built to fall into. And most people inside it have no idea it even exists. The setup. Here's the thing nobody says out loud about the middle class. It was never designed to be a launch pad for wealth. It was designed to be a landing zone for spending, and it does that job extraordinarily well. The moment you cross into middle-class income, a whole ecosystem activates around you. Better neighborhood means higher property costs. Better neighborhood means better schools, which means you're now competing with other middle-class families for the same houses, which drives prices up further. Better income means you qualify for bigger loans. Bigger loans mean more expensive commitments. More expensive commitments mean every dollar of that middle-class income has somewhere to go before you even see it. And the cruel twist, every single one of those spending decisions looks responsible, looks like progress, looks like exactly what you're supposed to do with a decent income. That's what makes this trap different from every other one. It doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like life working correctly. What actually happened to the middle class? Let's go back for a second, because the history here is important and most people don't know it. In 1970, a single middle-class income could comfortably cover a mortgage, a car, groceries, healthcare, and a family vacation. Not luxuriously, but comfortably. There was margin. There was breathing room. A family earning median income in 1970 spent roughly 25% of their income on housing. They had money left over. Today, median household income has grown significantly when adjusted for inflation. We earn more. On paper, we're richer than our grandparents ever were. But here's what happened to the costs on the other side of that equation. What happened to the price of being middle class? Median home price, 1970-2025, $200,000, $420,000. Healthcare costs per household since 1970, up over 600%. Average childcare cost per child per year, $15,000, $30,000. College tuition increase since 1980, up over 1,200%. Income grew, but the cost of maintaining a middle-class life grew faster. The gap is where wealth quietly disappears. If you like the video, hit subscribe and turn or the bell button. The income went up, but the price of admission to the middle-class lifestyle went up faster. So families are spending more of a bigger income just to stay in the same place. The treadmill got faster. The scenery stayed the same. The three costs nobody calculates, here's where the Garcia family gets swallowed. And here's where most middle-class households are losing ground without realizing it. There are three costs embedded in middle-class life that almost nobody actually calculates. The first is the status tax. Your income places you in a neighborhood. Your neighborhood sets the baseline for how you live. The cars on your street, the restaurants your colleagues mention, the vacations people talk about at school pickup. None of it is pressure you can feel. All of it shapes what you spend. The Garcias aren't keeping up with the Joneses out of vanity. They genuinely believe they're just living normally. The status tax is invisible precisely because it looks like normal life. The second is the safety illusion cost. Middle-class income makes you feel secure enough to not be urgent about building real security. You're not broke, so the emergency fund feels less urgent. You're not poor, so investing feels like something you'll get to eventually. The comfort of a decent income is the enemy of the discipline a decent income requires. People who feel genuinely financially precarious often save more aggressively than people who feel comfortable. Comfort kills urgency, and urgency is the only thing that builds the foundation. The third is the biggest one. It's the leverage cost. Middle-class income doesn't just let you spend more, it qualifies you to borrow more. The bank looks at your $130,000 household income and hands you a mortgage sized for $130,000. They don't tell you that you're now one layoff away from not making that payment. They don't mention that qualifying for a loan and comfortably affording a loan are two completely different things. They just approve you, and you sign, because the monthly payment feels manageable. Until it isn't. The Garcias versus the Patels, where the gap actually came from. So how did two families in the same bracket, in the same neighborhood, with almost identical incomes, end up $184,000 apart in financial position? It didn't happen because the Patels are smarter. It didn't happen because they earn slightly more. It happened because of one decision the Patels made early and the Garcias didn't. The Patels decided before they ever bought the house, before they chose the neighborhood, before they picked the cars, that their monthly fixed costs would stay below 60% of their after-tax income. Non-negotiable. Whatever was left was the investment budget, and they automated it out of the account before they had a chance to spend it. The Garcias made every individual decision reasonably. The house was a stretch but felt manageable. The cars were practical choices for their commutes. The kids' activities were investments in their futures. The holidays were earned after hard years. None of those decisions were wrong exactly, but together they consumed 94% of the after-tax income. What was left, 6 cents on the dollar, went into a savings account that inflation quietly ate. The Patels didn't live worse than the Garcias. They just made the financial structure the decision, not the individual purchases. And then they made every purchase inside that structure. If that information is useful, share with someone who needs to know. The real reason middle-class wealth is so hard to build. Here's something that will probably reframe this whole conversation for you. The middle class is uniquely bad at building wealth, not because middle-class people are irresponsible. They're actually often quite careful. It's because middle-class income sits in a specific danger zone. It's too high to feel urgent. When you're genuinely struggling, every financial decision is sharp and deliberate. You cut, you scrimp, you know your numbers because you have to. But at $130,000 combined, you don't have to. The discomfort isn't sharp enough. The leaks don't feel like leaks. They feel like choices. And it's too low to have margin for error. The genuinely wealthy have so much income that even sloppy spending leaves significant wealth building behind. A household earning $800,000 a year can spend extravagantly and still invest $200,000. A household earning $130,000 that spends proportionally to what it sees around it invests almost nothing. The math doesn't have the same forgiveness. So middle-class households sit in a band where the social pressure to spend is highest, the urgency to save is lowest, and the margin for error is tightest. That's not a personal failing. That's a structural position. And knowing that changes the way you respond to it, what the Patels actually did, and what you can. The escape isn't complicated. but it runs completely against what middle-class life feels like it's asking you to do. So let me be specific. Step 1 is to run the actual number, not your gross salary, not what you feel like you earn, what actually lands in your account each month after every tax and deduction. Most middle-class households are genuinely surprised by this number. It's smaller than the salary feels. That smaller number is your real budget. Everything has to fit inside it. Step 2 is to decide your investment percentage before you decide anything else. Not after the mortgage and the cars and the subscriptions, before. The Patels picked 20%. That 20% automated out on payday. Then they bought the house they could afford on what was left. Most people do this backwards. They buy the life first and try to save what remains. Nothing remains. Step 3 is the hardest one. You have to be willing to look slightly less middle class than you actually are for a few years so that you can become actually financially secure rather than just appearing to be. That means the smaller house in the slightly less prestigious neighborhood. It means the 3-year-old car instead of the new one. It means one family holiday instead of 2. It means some social discomfort. It's temporary. The wealth it builds is not. Yeah, exactly. So write me what you think in the comments, and I'll reply back to you. Let's wrap it up. The Garcias aren't doing anything wrong by most definitions of that word. They're working hard. They're being responsible. They're giving their kids a good life. By every visible measure, they look like the middle class working exactly as intended. And that's the most honest thing I can say about this trap. It's working exactly as intended. The middle class was built to consume, not to accumulate. Every system around it, the mortgage industry, the auto industry, the retail economy, the school district bidding wars, is optimized to convert middle-class income into middle-class spending. The default outcome of a middle-class income, left unexamined, is a middle-class life that looks successful and feels slightly fragile. The Patels live in the same neighborhood. They just opted out of the default. So here's the question I want to leave you with. When you look at your monthly income, honestly, what percentage is actually building your future versus maintaining the appearance of a comfortable present? Because those two numbers tell you everything about which family you're becoming. You don't have to earn more to change the answer. You just have to decide the answer changes before the money arrives.